Ah, they watched you from the very start. Every stumble, every tear, every laugh you thought was private. They counted them, measured them, stored them like weapons for a day you'd never see coming. Yeah. And you believed it was normal. You believed you were safe. How deliciously cruel that is. Huh. That innocence, that fragile trust. They never meant for you to survive untouched. Do you feel it? That itch under your skin? That knowing that something is wrong, something was always wrong. You sensed it, but laughed it off, pretended, nodded, obeyed, and they loved it. Every lie they fed you, every smile. Hiding a knife, you were a target. From the sandbox to the dinner table, from the first friend you ever thought was real to the shadow behind the door, you were marked. Every memory, every whisper, every lesson disguised as love. They trained you without telling you. But here's the thing. They thought it would break you. That the weight of their secrets, the careful manipulation, the constant watching, would bend you into something small, obedient, predictable. Did it? Did it? Or did it plant a spark you never knew you had? That quiet, simmering fire that burns when you remember everything you were told to forget. They underestimated it. They always do. They always forget. The quiet ones watch. They learn. They wait. And you learned. Oh, you learned. The walls that caged you. The smiles that fooled you. They were nothing but mirrors. Reflections of weakness. They hoped you'd accept. But you see through them. Now. And that's dangerous. That's powerful. And they will never see it coming. The whispers you ignored as a child. They are your compass now. The lies that suffocated you, they are your fuel. And every step they thought they controlled belongs to you. Do you remember the first time you realized something was off? That twist in the pit of your stomach? That chill when you heard laughter that didn't belong to anyone? That moment you realized the world was playing a game you weren't invited to. And they didn't care if you noticed. That is the seed. That is the hunger. That is the awakening they tried to bury under smiles and bedtime stories. But seeds grow in darkness. Hunger sharpens in silence. And awakenings cannot be stopped. So listen carefully. Hear the truth behind the lullabies. The shadows whisper your name. The world is a stage, and everyone else? They're actors. They play their parts, they pretend. But you are learning the script. You are tracing the edges of the trap. And soon, very soon, you will be the one writing the final act. And when it comes, when the mask falls, when the laughter breaks through, they will finally understand. You were never what they thought. You were always something else. It was always there, behind you, beside you, inside every corner you tried not to look at. Quiet, patient, studying you like a puzzle, missing one final piece. You felt it as a child. That tiny shift in the air when someone entered the room without making a sound. That quiet pressure on your shoulders. When you wanted to breathe but couldn't. That wasn't imagination. That was the shadow they never warned you about. The one that learned your heartbeat before you knew it mattered. Funny, isn't it? How shadows move even when you stand still. How they cling, how they stretched themselves across your steps like threads waiting to tighten. They knew you wouldn't question it. Children aren't supposed to. You're supposed to trust, to accept, to nod when told things are fine. But you always sensed the difference. The shadow didn't feel like safety. It felt like a test, a presence shaping you quietly, molding you into something they could manage, something predictable, something soft. And yet you resisted. Not loudly, not openly. No, your rebellion was subtle, a glance held too long, a silence deeper than it should have been, a question you never voiced but kept buried like a match in a dry field. They noticed. They always notice. The shadow leaned closer. It measured your hesitation, your curiosity, your stillness. Shadows fear those who think, those who watch. You became someone worth observing, someone worth monitoring, someone who might break the pattern. That's why it followed you, into school halls, through friendships that cracked like thin glass, into jobs that drained you, into nights where the room felt full even when you were alone. The shadow loved those moments. It fed on them. Each doubt you carried, each failure you stored, each fear you nurtured in silence. It whispered that you were trapped, that your path was written, that your choices were illusions covered with smiles and polite words. And you almost believed it. Almost. But here's the twist. You didn't fold. You didn't shrink. You adapted. The pressure shaped you differently than they expected. Instead of bending, you sharpened. Instead of fading, you focused. The shadow didn't weaken you. It trained you, crafted your instincts, sculpted your awareness. You learned to read silence, to sense intent, to feel tension before it surfaced. Every step you took under its watch became another layer of armor. They wanted control. They forged a weapon instead. There's a pulse inside you, a quiet storm you've been told to hide. They called it weakness. They called it immaturity. They called it trouble waiting to happen. But you felt the truth. Every time your jaw clenched, every time your hands tightened, every time your thoughts burned hotter than you could admit. That wasn't a weakness. That was pressure building in a sealed container. Pressure they hoped would crush you before you learned how to release it. You remember the moments that shaped it, the times you were dismissed with a smile that didn't match the eyes, the nods that felt more like pats on the head, those subtle words that cut deeper than open arguments ever could. You swallowed them, again and again. Thinking about it made you stronger. Thinking about it made you mature. But all it did was teach you how to store fire in your ribs. Fire they believed you'd never learn to control. How amusing that is. Because rage, real rage, does not scream. It sharpens. It calculates. It waits in silence like a blade hidden under cloth. And you've been sharpening for years. Every slight you endured is a mark on the metal. Every betrayal you pretended not to notice is a strike of the hammer. Every time you stayed calm when you wanted to explode was another layer forged into your edge. They didn't break you. They refined you, without knowing it, without meaning to. Look at how you react now. You don't flare up over nonsense. You don't waste energy on meaningless battles. No, you conserve. You observe. You let people think they've won because you understand something deeper. Rage isn't about noise. It's about direction. It's about timing. It's about letting your silence make others nervous. You've grown into something they didn't foresee. Someone who carries intensity without losing control. Someone who can burn without being seen until the moment matters. But here's the part they never wanted you to discover. Rage can be purpose. Rage can be clarity. Rage can be transformation. It forces you to confront what you've ignored. It forces you to see what you've tolerated for too long. It forces you to rise from the cage they built with smiles and polite expectations. Your rage is the hammer now, and your will is the surface it strikes. Again, until something new emerges. They smiled at you, they kissed your forehead. They whispered lullabies that smelled of warmth and trust. But behind those smiles, behind every gentle word, there were cracks, secrets, calculations, a plan they never told you about, a truth they buried under laughter and holidays and the routine of normal life. You sensed it. You always did. The inconsistencies, the way glances lingered too long, the way silences spoke louder than their words. Every family has rules, but some rules are chains, invisible, unspoken, and poisonous. You learn to follow them without understanding why. They taught obedience while hiding agendas. They controlled what you saw, what you felt, what you believed about yourself. You were a pawn in a game they didn't even want you to know existed. And yet, every move they made against you, every manipulation, every secret, shaped you, sharpened you, prepared you. The conspiracy wasn't loud. It didn't scream. It whispered. It nudged. It hid in small betrayals, in privileges given and withheld, in comparisons made so subtly you didn't notice until the scars were carved deep. It was elegant, cruel, invisible, and it ran through the veins of your home like a poison that everyone pretended was water. You drank it. They thought it would weaken you. They thought you would dissolve under its weight, but the weight made you strong. Every hidden glance, every lesson twisted into control, every favoritism that made you question your worth. You cataloged it all, every word, every gesture, every silent threat hidden in a joke. You stored them in the shadows of your mind. You watched, you learned, you waited, and in waiting you became the one they never expected. The one who sees the game and knows all the rules without them ever telling you. And now the tables shift. The house that molded you in silence begins to crumble under your awareness. Every whispered plan they thought would stay secret trembles at your understanding. Every manipulation meant to contain you, rendered useless. Every expectation they buried in smiles and subtle threats turned into the blueprint of your rise. You are no longer the target. You are the strategist, the predator, the one who knows. There's a moment, a split second, when you stare at your own reflection and feel a flicker of doubt. That face looking back at you, it isn't the one you think it is. It's a version shaped by every command you followed, every expectation you swallowed, every judgment you pretended didn't sting. The mirror shows the mask they built for you, the polite version, the quiet version, the version that made others comfortable while suffocating you in silence. Look closer. See the fracture beneath the surface, the slight tension in your jaw, the intensity buried behind your eyes. That's not insecurity. That's identity fighting to break through. They taught you to smooth your edges. They told you to be calm, be patient, be agreeable, all while hiding their own shadows, their own fears, their own flaws. The mirror became their tool, a reminder of who you were supposed to be, not who you actually are. But mirrors are fragile. That's their weakness. All it takes is one decision, one truth admitted, one moment of clarity, and the reflection begins to crack. You start noticing the parts of yourself you ignored, the instincts you suppressed, the fire you dimmed because someone said it made them uncomfortable. How amusing that is. That they feared your intensity so much they tried to smother it with expectations disguised as guidance. You've lived long enough behind reflections that were never yours. But something shifted, slowly, quietly. You began questioning the shape of your thoughts, the shape of your silence, the shape of your potential. You realize the mirror doesn't define you. It reacts to you. And every time you grow, every time you sharpen, every time you peel back another layer of truth, the reflection trembles. It can't keep up with the person emerging from beneath years of quiet conditioning. And that's when the mirror becomes afraid. It loses control over you. It can't hold the old version of you together anymore. You see the strength they tried to hide from you. You feel the intensity they told you to soften. You realize the reflection was never your jailer. It was your evidence. Proof that someone tried to shape you into something smaller, something easier to manage, something predictable. There's a pattern wrapped around your life. A quiet loop. A silent circle. You walked it for years without noticing the repetition. Same reactions, same doubts, same fears pressed onto your mind like fingerprints you never agreed to wear. They shaped those patterns. They counted on them. They relied on you repeating the same choices so they could predict your next step before you even took it. But something inside you began to rebel. The way expectations tightened around you like invisible rope. Every pattern had one purpose: keep you contained, keep you cooperative, keep you safe in a way that felt more like a cage than comfort. But cages create pressure. Pressure creates cracks, and cracks create escape routes for minds that refuse to stay quiet. You trace the chains, not with fear, not with panic, with curiosity, with focus, with a slow rising intensity that they never expected you to develop. You saw how each rule connected to another, how every guilt was placed to steer your choices, how every moment of doubt was planted years ago. Patterns don't lie, and I want to see you there. In the comments, your thoughts, your revelations, your fire. Speak up, leave your mark, share the truths you've uncovered within yourself. Because this is more than a video. It's a mirror, a weapon, a spark. And you are the reason it lives. You are the force that turns whispers into roars. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for daring to confront the shadows. Thank you for choosing to see the cracks, the patterns, the secrets, and still rising. You are sharp. You are awake. You are the storm they didn't predict. And as long as you keep watching, keep questioning, and keep claiming your power, nothing will ever stop you from rewriting your story. Whoa. There's a moment when the silence starts bending, when the calm you cling to begins cracking. That's when names start drifting through the air like loose threads. and yours floats right into their mouths. Funny thing is, betrayal never arrives with a shout. It sneaks in like a flicker behind the eyes. A twitch at the corner of a smile, a shift in the tone someone swears you imagined. You feel it before you hear it. You hear it before you believe it. And once you believe it, the room is never quiet again. You try to brush it off. Pretend the hum in your head is nothing more than your own doubt stretching its legs. But deep down, you recognize the rhythm of it, the sting, the cold little truth that someone spoke your name with the wrong intention. Someone carried your story like a torch they didn't earn. Every stranger's glance becomes heavier. Every pause between words becomes sharper. And you finally realize the quiet didn't break by accident. Someone pushed it. Someone needed it to break. There's a strange honesty in being misrepresented. It forces you to understand what they fear in you, what they envy, what they can't replicate, no matter how deeply they try to cut. People reveal themselves most clearly when they whisper, not when they shout. Their whispers hold their motives. Their motives reveal their weakness. Their weakness exposes their limits. And their limits tell you exactly how far they'll go to drag your name where it doesn't belong. But here's the twist that slices deeper. Their betrayal isn't about you. It never was. It's about their panic, their discomfort, their inability to stand beside someone who carries a different fire. They speak to shrink you because they can't grow themselves. They whisper to control what they can't confront. They twist your story because your truth outshines their comfort. And that is what terrifies them. Scandal isn't chaos. It's clarity. It shows you what people truly see when they strip away the mask you pretended to wear. The whispers turn into reflections, and suddenly you're staring at a version of yourself they tried to sculpt from fragments. Sharp pieces, crooked edges, exaggerated shadows. They think they're exposing you, but all they're doing is exposing what frightens them most. A spotlight built from rumors still lights the same figure, and that figure is you, standing taller than their intentions. Most people crumble when their name leaves their control. You won't, because every distorted tale told about you reveals the cracks in their courage. Their attempt to shrink your presence only confirms the weight you carry. And when they twist your image, they think they're painting your downfall, but they're only painting their fear. Scandal doesn't weaken you, it reveals the framework of your strength. It shows who watches, who studies, who imitates, and who trembles when you rise without their permission. The truth is simple. When they talk, they're not trying to ruin you. They're trying to understand you. And when they fail to understand, they invent stories to fill the gap. Let them, because their stories act like mirrors tilted at strange angles. You'll learn what part of your ambition scares them, what part of your presence challenges them, what part of your silence keeps them awake. Each rumor becomes a reflection. Each reflection becomes knowledge, and knowledge is a sharper tool than anything they threw at you. So let the scandal echo. Let it swirl through rooms where you've never stepped. Let it land in ears that never met you, because the more they talk, the clearer the mirror becomes. And when you finally look into it, you won't see the version they built. You'll see the strength you ignored, the resilience you buried, the fire you pretended wasn't there. Scandal shows you the truth. You are too distracted to notice. And once you see it, you can't ever look away. There comes a point when you stop running from their version of you. You stare it down. You trace every exaggerated line, every twisted detail. And you feel something shift inside your chest. Not anger, not fear. Something sharper, something cleaner. You realize their attempt to expose you wasn't an ending. It was an opening, a doorway they kicked open, thinking you would hide, but instead you stepped through with a steady breath and a mind ready to rewrite everything. Because here's the truth, they never expected. Exposure only destroys the ones who depend on illusion. You don't. You're not built on borrowed layers. You're not powered by approval. When they spill fragments of your life, you take them back one by one. You polish them. You arrange them. You turn their scattered pieces into a mosaic they never had the courage to imagine. They wanted the world to see you cracked. Yet you reveal yourself carved, structured, refined through fire, rather than fading under pressure. Finishing the story means reclaiming the pen they tried to steal. It means speaking with precision instead of defense. You don't explain, you define, you don't argue. You present truth with a tone that lands heavier than any rumor. The moment you take control, the narrative shifts. The noise quiets. The eyes watching you begin to see the difference between their fiction and your presence. And presence always wins. It lingers long after their stories collapse under their own weakness. Remember this. Those who expose you want to guide the ending. They want to force the world to look through their lens. But you break the lens. You step forward without hesitation. You let the world see the version of you they were too threatened to acknowledge. The version shaped by resilience instead of whispers. The version forged by choice instead of fear. Finish the story yourself and watch every false chapter fade into silence. There's a shift that happens the moment you fall silent. A clean break. A snap in the air that others pretend not to hear but feel anyway. Explanations drain you. They twist your strength into question marks. They make you seek comfort in places that never offered it. But when you stop explaining, the world pauses. People blink. They lean back. They wonder what changed. And that uncertainty becomes your armor. It tightens around you. It sharpens your edges. Silence becomes the line they can't cross. Most people talk to earn understanding. You don't. Not anymore. You let your actions breathe for you. You let your presence carve its own shape. Words become optional. Noise becomes irrelevant. And suddenly, the same voices that chased you with questions begin stumbling over their own assumptions. They don't know where you stand. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know what thoughts are circling behind your quiet stare. And that confusion exposes exactly who depended on your explanations to feel secure. Silence changes the balance. It shifts the weight back into your hands. When you refuse to justify yourself, their grip loosens. Their confidence cracks. They start filling the silence with their own doubts instead of your answers. And that's when everything turns. You stop chasing approval. You stop offering clarity to people who never earned it. You rise without announcing anything. And the world watches, trying to decode a message that no longer belongs to them. Chaos has a taste, sharp, metallic, thick enough to coat your tongue until every hesitation falls silent. Most people fear it. They flinch, when life twists out of shape. But you're built differently. You feel the shift. You welcome the disorder that rattles the weak. Because chaos is the training ground they never prepared for. It rips away comfort. It tears down routine. And in the wreckage, you learn how your mind truly moves when nothing holds it still. Pressure exposes instinct. It forces your thoughts to sharpen like a blade dragged across stone. The world may shake, people may scatter, but you learn to breathe through the noise. You learn to see opportunity inside broken patterns. While others freeze, you adjust. While they crumble, you step forward. Chaos teaches you to trust the part of yourself that doesn't ask for permission, the part that rises without waiting, the part that thrives when control slips through every hand but yours. Think about it. Every moment you endured that felt unfair, every sudden twist that cracked your routine, every betrayal that split the air, those were not setbacks. They were sharpening points. You didn't collapse. You recalibrated. You adapted. You built new instincts faster than others built excuses. That's what separates you. Not luck, not chance, but your ability to turn turmoil into strategy. Your reflex to stand taller when the ground shakes. Your quiet refusal to fold when eyes expect you to bend. Chaos teaches focus, not calm, not comfort. Focus. It strips away every distraction until only the core remains. That pulse behind your ribs, that drive behind your stare, that hunger you tried to silence to make others comfortable. Chaos removes their noise. It exposes your direction. It reveals what matters. And once you learn to navigate it, nothing ordinary can ever limit you again. The storm becomes familiar, the strain becomes fuel, the pressure becomes your rhythm. Remember this, the hunter isn't born in certainty. The hunter is shaped in moments no one else wants to face. You don't rise because the path is smooth. You rise because you learn to walk when everything cracked beneath your feet. Chaos tried to break you. It didn't. It made you precise. It made you sharper. It made you the kind of force they whisper about when they think you're not listening. Betrayal isn't just a wound. It's a layout of the terrain you've been walking blind across. Each lie reveals a hidden path. Each whisper shows you who stands too close. Betrayal sketches the outlines of people who were never meant to travel with you. And once you study those lines, you stop stumbling. You stop trusting out of habit. You start choosing with precision. The world becomes clearer the moment someone shows their intentions, without meaning to. They thought they had you figured out. That pressure, expectation, the weight of every eye would force you to crumble. But here's the twist. You don't follow the rules they set. You bend them. You stretch them. You break the patterns they tried to lock you into. Every limit they whispered about becomes the first line you redraw. And suddenly, the game is no longer theirs, it's yours. Sharp, unpredictable, dangerous. They expect submission, predictability, weakness disguised as calm. You deliver none of it. You move sideways through their expectations. You twist the outcome while they blink, trying to understand how someone could step out of the box without breaking it. Every rule they held sacred becomes clay in your hands. Every standard they thought unshakable is now a pathway you carve for yourself. They can't predict your rhythm because there is no rhythm they can contain. Bending the rules isn't chaos for chaos' sake. It's strategy disguised as madness. Every deviation from their map teaches you something new. Every unexpected step destabilizes the watchers and clarifies your path. You're no longer a player in their story. You're writing your own. And the more they expect you to fail, the sharper your edge becomes. The more rigid their world, the more fluid you move through it. Untethered by expectation. They measure courage by compliance. They count risk by comfort. You measure it by survival and vision. You bend rules like a sculptor bending steel, shaping reality around the truths they refuse to see. Every risk they feared is a tool you now wield. Every expectation they enforced becomes a stepping stone to mastery. And they notice. Oh, they notice. But it's too late. You've already rewritten the code. Remember this. They expected you to break under pressure. They expected to see cracks. And instead, you rewrote the rules, moved in shadows. They didn't map and turned their certainty into your advantage. Their blueprint of control becomes your playground. Their attempts to confine you become the architecture of your rise. You bend, you move, you conquer. And in doing so, you show that the strongest mind doesn't survive by obeying, it survives by outthinking. You've been taught to fear betrayal, to see it as a breaking point. But if you tilt your perspective, it becomes instruction. A diagram of motives, a map of patterns. A guide to the minds that tried to pull you down. Their actions expose the weak spots in your circle and the strong points in your character. They reveal where you overextended your kindness, where you confused loyalty with convenience, where you offered access that should have remained locked behind your caution. The power comes when you stop reacting and start analyzing. You collect the fragments of the betrayal and arrange them like pieces of a hidden plan. What did they expect from you? What did they fear in you? What did they hope would break? And why didn't it? The answers sharpen your vision. They refine your moves. They turn your next steps into strategy instead of impulse. You rise not by ignoring the betrayal, but by studying it until it becomes a lesson no one can erase. Let the betrayal stay in the past, but let the blueprint stay in your mind. Carry it quietly. Use it wisely. Move with awareness born from the pain they delivered, thinking it would crush you. Every broken bond becomes structure. Every exposed motive becomes instruction. And every false friend becomes a marker, reminding you where not to step again. That's how you transform. Not by forgetting the betrayal, but by letting it guide the creation of a stronger version of you. You've walked through every fracture, every whisper, every twist they never thought you'd survive. And if you're still here, listening, breathing, sharpening, then you already proved something they'll never admit. You're built to rise from rumors. You turn scandal into clarity, betrayal into strategy, pressure into precision. They tried to expose you, but all they did was uncover a mind that refuses to fold. A presence that learns faster than they can speak. A will carved from every moment they underestimated you. But this is only the beginning. The real shift happens when you see the full picture, when you absorb every section, when the whole transformation clicks into place. So watch the rest of the video. Take in every line meant to hit your core. Don't rush. Don't skim. Let each moment carve its meaning into your thoughts. And when you're done, go to the comments. Tell me which part struck the deepest. Which truth woke something inside you? Your voice matters here more than you realize.